Hey YouTube, Nick Too Sick here, back with another fishing video. Welcome everybody to the California Delta Fishing Report for December 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see behind me, the weather has been absolutely great for most of December. The fishing has been great too. It's a really nice time to be out here fishing. Plenty of room, not as many boats out, lots of big fish biting. If you're afraid of that cold weather, don't be, because the bass sure aren't. They're biting good right now, and so are the crappie. And that's what I'm going to be getting into today, ladies and gentlemen. I guess we'll just start with the bass, since that's what we do the best around here. We're primarily a largemouth bass channel, but as I've explained before, this time of year in the winter, it's a really good time to switch it up. So, getting straight into the fishing report, I'm just going to say, as far as the largemouth bass go, this time of year right now is a time where, personally, I prefer to go big. December, January, February is a time for me where I like to go big. I start throwing bigger baits, and I start fishing for bigger fish, and it becomes kind of a grind this time of year. It's really cold outside, the weather's bad, and you're not really getting bit as much. So I'm throwing baits that are probably only going to catch me a couple fish a day right now, ladies and gentlemen. But with that being said, they're going to be, really nice quality fish that I'm going to be targeting. So the first bait I'm going to show you today is my favorite winter bait, is a spinner bait. This is what I like to throw, a ½ ounce, even a 3/4 ounce spinner bait. I just chuck this everywhere, and I just chuck and wind, slow roll this, just everywhere, in the tules, in the brush, next to wood piles, over the tops of hydrilla patches, around rocks and laydowns, anywhere I could throw this. I'm just really just throwing this thing like crazy, and the fish that are eating that are good fish. So, when you hook up on that, you got something really nice on the end of the line. So get out there and toss your spinnerbait. Really deadly. With that being said, I also will, depending, this is like kind of, yesterday I threw this all day, and I got skunked. I didn't catch anything, but I'm giving myself the opportunity to catch really big fish by doing that. So even though I'll go out and get skunked from time to time, I don't get discouraged, because I know that big fish is coming. So in addition to this spinnerbait, I also throw the chatterbait. If the water is a little more clear, I'll throw a chatterbait with a little more clear presentation. As you can see here, this is like a shad presentation, and this is a gold shiner presentation. These are pretty much the only two colors I throw this time of year, is gold and silver. So your spinnerbait chatterbait combo is going to get it done. But like I said, right now, in the wind, and I'm just preferring the spinnerbait in the winter months, opposed to the chatterbait in like the warmer months. So some days are really clear. As you can see behind me, the water is absolutely glass today. There's really not a breath of wind in the air, so I'm not really going to get away with this spinnerbait chatterbait today, although yesterday that's what was getting it done. So on a day like this today, where you can see that it's just absolutely crystal calm clear, there's a couple different options that I throw. Is I just go to a nice swim jig. This is a ½ ounce swim jig with a paddle tail on there. It's gold. Basically, this is another little gold shiner presentation, and this is just a lot more natural. This is kind of like throwing my chatterbait without the vibration, without the erratic behavior. It's just really steady, you know, soft swimming, natural looking bait. So that's when I'll throw that. In addition to that, on these kind of days, you need to. This is when you need to start throwing your Keitechs and your Rage swimmers and your really your soft tail paddle baits. Very, very natural looking baits. So I'm just gonna show you how I do that. Here I have a Blade Runner. You see, this is just a Blade Runner swim jig head, and I'll take the Keitech and I'll just punch it right through the top right here. They already got this nice little back slot on there. You can push the bait up onto the keeper real nice, and then as you can see, you have your nice little swim jig presentation there. With it's very nice and subtle. You can swim that through the weeds, and you know, either one of these will get it done for you on a softer day like today. And then basically, in addition to those type of baits, I'm spending a lot of time throwing my S-Waver right now. This is a River to Sea S-Waver, and I throw this one, and I also throw the Savage Gear one, the glider. I like these type of glider baits. You can chuck them out really far and kind of work them like a jerk bait. You just pop the tip really slightly, reel in the slack, pop the tip, and then this bait kind of, you know, it moves in like an S motion, and it pulls these fish. This has a lot of drawing power for lethargic fish this time of year, when you know, when it's really, really cold and these fish don't want to move. They're not gonna chase down, you know, a little 3-inch bait that is like a French fry to them. They are only gonna come out after, you know, a worthy meal that they're really only gonna eat probably once, you know, every other day. So you need to really get lucky. There's a lot of luck involved. You can put yourself in a position to catch fish where you know there are big fish, but this time of year, you know, they're eating less, so you get less opportunities. That's why I like to go for the bigger fish this time of year. It's just kind of the trade-off where, you know, it's the winter, you're really not gonna catch a whole lot of bass, you know, bucket loads of bass anyway, so you might as well just go for the bigger bass. So that's why I like to throw this, and I'll let it sit for quite a bit, you guys. I'll toss it out there, I'll jerk it a couple times, and then I'll just let it sit for 10-15 seconds and tease those lethargic bass, because they're sitting down in the mud. They stick this time of year, you guys, they actually like stick those big old bellies they have. They'll park them down in the mud and just sit there, and you know, use kind of the mud as almost like an insulation to keep them warm, and you know, they don't have to move. They just place themselves up the current where that water can flow through their gills, and they're really not using any energy this time of year. So that's why there's a little bit of luck involved with that. So, which gets me to my next point is, you know, in the winter, you really can't beat a bass jig. Here's mine, black and red, TNT Cooch's Wada jig. This is what I throw, and I just throw like a, you know, a Yamamoto trailer on there, flapping hog with the corresponding color, and just throw that out there underneath the dock or something, and you literally just let it sit. Just drop it, let it sit. If a fish is there, it'll see it drop, kind of draw its curiosity a little bit, shake the rod tip, drag it maybe just like an inch or so. You know, you don't, this time of year, you don't want to pull it up and down off the bottom of the ground too much. You really just want to kind of dead stick it, drag it, shake it a little bit, drag it. And this is a very, very slow type of fishing. You know, I'll toss this out underneath the dock, and you know, this jig won't be back in the boat for 2, 3, even up to 5 minutes. So that's kind of what I'm doing for the bass right now. The crappie is basically where I'm spending most of my time right now. That's where I'm catching a lot of fish. I'll go out, spend half the day, you know, looking for big bass, and if I'm catching them, I'll stick to it. And most of the time right now, I'm not, you guys, I'm not going to lie, I'm catching a few nice fish, but I'm really just favoring the crappie right now. I must have caught 50 crappie yesterday. And what I'm throwing for crappie is I'm basically using a 2-inch white grub, and I'm just swimming that everywhere. And once I locate these panfish, then I just start slaying them. Because once you catch one crappie, you know there's the rest of the group are by. They're a schooling fish. So what I'll use to look for crappie is I'll just throw, like, you know, that white. I even throw the you know, this little umbrella rig with the 2-inch, 2.5-inch little swim baits on them. Those will catch crappie. This will catch a, you know, small striper, small bass. But what I'm doing is basically just trying to locate that school, and then once I do locate that school, I just start devastating them with, you know, a little crappie magnet like this. Put this on a nice little ultralight spinning rod, toss it out there, and then just kind of, you know, jig it around. And I'll work this a couple different ways. I'll throw it out, and I'll almost use it like a soft jerk bait, like a fluke almost, and I'll just pop, pop, let it sink, reel out the slack, pop, pop, let it sink, and then just kind of have it, you know, go around, and the crappie will come attack it. You could just straight swim it too. Sometimes they prefer that. I'll throw it out there and I'll just slow roll it. And this really doesn't have a lot of, when you're slow rolling it, it really doesn't have a lot of kick to it. There really isn't a lot of movement. It just kind of, and they eat it. They like that. So I'll give them that on days they prefer that. And then a lot of the time I'll throw it out, and then I'll just really shake that rod tip, and then this magnet is just going sporadic all underneath the water. You can put it, you know, a couple feet underneath a bobber too. Chuck it out, and then shake that rod tip. Get that bobber bouncing. Because if that bobber's bouncing, then you know this is bouncing around underneath it. And then when that bobber goes, bloop, you know you got one. So it's kind of fun bobber fishing. And, you know, this is a good way to find, you can find fish this way, too. I'll find crappie this way. I'll throw this out underneath a bobber, and I'll swim it and shake it around. And, you know, I can tell by the way that bobber moves what kind of fish I'm getting bit by. You know, the bluegill, they'll bite it and pull it straight down. Boop, come straight down. It'll be, you know, a really hard fighting fish. And, the bass, they'll come up, they'll hit it, and they'll take it all the way down, but it'll kind of be at an angle because they don't come straight up at it like a bluegill will. They come at it from the side and then go down with it, so you can kind of see it go at almost like a 45-degree angle. And then when you're searching for crappie, when I'm using this magnet, I'll throw it out, and if that bobber, if I get bit and the bobber doesn't go down underneath the water, it actually starts keeping to go horizontal, then I know I'm onto some crappie, because for some reason the crappie will do that. They'll attack horizontally, and that bobber won't really go down very quickly. Your bobber will be sitting there, and then all of a sudden it'll just start moving off, and before it goes down. So that's when I know I'm getting onto some crappie. Anyway, once you locate the crappie and they're there, this is what I throw to devastate them. Sabiki rig by P-Line. It's really simple. All you do is you just hook your line right there, and you can pull this out of the package. Little drop shot weight goes on that on the snap swivel right there, and you just throw it like a drop shot. As you can see, this has you know, 6 little jigs on it. Here's an image of how the back works. You see there's just like a 6 drop shot. And you just throw it out there, and you work it like a drop shot. And you just destroy crappie, you guys. And, you know, get a bucket load of them. That's how I'm doing it right now. In addition to anything I might have said, I'm fishing, when I'm fishing for these big fish and I get bit big and I miss them, I'll throw out a Senko. I'll have my little shad Senko that matches my swimmer. So when I miss a big bite, I'll throw that Senko out to try to, you know, trick that fish into thinking, you know, it might have missed it the first time. But, you know, now it looks like the Senko is just, it looks like it's dying off.